All right, to start us off, we have a presentation from Balazs Ivanyl and Truls on DuoRythmo, a collaborative, accessible digital music interface for pals.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for having us here. First of all, we are very, very grateful to be here on behalf of our whole team, because it's just the two of us. We are all the way back from Denmark, Copenhagen, and the reason why we could make it is because we are visiting researchers now this quarter at Stanford. So we drove down, and we just arrived literally 2 hours ago here in San Diego. So it's been quite a ride. But yeah, so we are here to talk about DuoRythmo, and we just want to give you a short insight to this project, how it all happened, and basically what it is, and what the future brings to it. So first of all, we are human-computer interaction and music technology researchers, and we got a prompt from the Microsoft Enable group on how could we create such an experience, what you could read up there. And basically they have had an experience, a fair share to working with hands-free musical experiences. But there was one thing what has been missing from their repertoire, which is musical co-creation. And we felt that this is such a significant and pivotal part to play music, to actually interact with each other, to actually jam together, to have that sort of connection through music, that we wanted to continue to investigate on this path. And this required loads of background work and loads of empathization and investigation to these specific topics. We never really worked with pals before, and also the whole domain of eye tracking interfaces and instruments was just such a new thing for us. And as you probably know, Maslow hierarchy of needs. We really wanted to take that and basically focus on the self-actualization part of it, because we felt like assistive technology is so somewhat well developed now with the basic needs for pals. So we really wanted to focus on that key aspect of that, providing a creative outlet through music to achieve self-actualization. So, and that's where we met the Alliance, and we got in contact with the Alliance through General Chaj, who's been one of the main mentors for us from Microsoft Research. And this has been an outstanding experience for us, basically, to meet with the whole Alliance, and they helped so much to make this happen and empathize and get to know pals and work with them together. So basically, originally we came from eye tracking, and we really wanted to focus on eye tracking and see how that technology can be used to create music. But we quickly realized that it's just not enough, because pals prefer so diverse inputs when they interact with computers, that we really need to open up and cater for different stages of the disease. So yeah, first of all, they really try to use computers as much as possible with traditional inputs. And then as soon as the disease progresses, we need to be able to provide more adaptive controls to create music, such as head mouse or foot mouse or other accessible mouses. And then finally, there is the final part where eye tracking comes to the picture, basically. So yeah, that was a big learning, and that was very pivotal for us to provide and cater for all these diverse input modalities to create music. And we utilized participatory design, because as I mentioned before, we were so new to this field, we really needed to empathize with these stakeholders and basically have that common understanding of how we can design and create something together. And you can see one of the processes, probably some familiar faces. And yeah, it's just been great to have this sort of participation and involvement of the target group for the design process from early on. And that really helped us to create something meaningful together. But that's more about the process. And now we get down to the actual concept of DuoRythmo, and Truls is going to take over.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, so what is DuoRythmo? I guess some of you might have seen it before, and we recently also made some updates to it. So as Balazs mentioned, it started out as a challenge from Microsoft Research for our bachelor thesis. And throughout the first couple of months, we built these three main pillars that we wanted to build the whole project upon. I'll go quickly through them, and the first one is then the radial interface. We learned along the way by looking at some of the other accessible digital musical instruments that using a radial interface allows you to have a resting position in the middle, where when using an eye tracker especially, you need some space on the screen where you're not necessarily interacting with anything. So we found this to be really interesting, and we could also combine this together with the concept of a Euclidean algorithm. Along the way, we learned that a lot of people don't really feel empowered by playing music and creating rhythm and patterns. So we realized that to cater for the novice users, we also wanted to include some very easy steps to make a fundamental beat. So the Euclidean algorithm, it spaces out the beats very evenly, so it's very easily, by a click of a button, can create a nice and enjoyable soundscape. And lastly, we were really inspired by this synthesizer, which is this little digital toolbox that can create sounds. And it's presenting a very unique way of interacting, where you are two people together playing, where one is creating the soundscape and the other one is then altering how this sounds. So we want to take this and put it into the digital realm, and we combine this to the concept of DuoRythmo, where you have turns where you start out by either altering the sounds or creating the sounds, and then you take turns throughout, and everybody gets to try the different aspects of the prototype. Right now, we have 5 different musical rooms. So in the future, we would also love to include the ability to create your own sounds in there and add your own sounds. But right now, we have these handpan and a djembe and some electronic sounds. And it creates a diverse set of opportunities. And to create these rooms, we were really helped out by some of our key user tests and collaborators. Here you see some of them. I guess there are some familiar faces there as well. And lastly, I wanted to quickly highlight some of the new changes we made to the prototype the last half year. So about 2 months ago, we made a new release to the Microsoft Windows Store, where you can go in and download the app on your Windows computer, and you can play it together with anybody, anywhere in the world, online, and you can create these fun little experiences. And we have a lot of thoughts on how we want to evolve this for the future, but right now we have a completely new updated user interface, which is optimized to be very enjoyable to look at, so it doesn't fatigue you if you're using an eye tracker. And we also have a friend system, so you can add friends together and you can play together and invite each other to play. And lastly, we added this fun little sending quick reactions where you can sort of acknowledge the other person on the other side if they're doing good or if you think the beat is especially good. So that's some of the changes we made lately. And going forward, I think we would love to talk to you guys later on if you have any ideas. And we're going to continue on this as a hobby project for the years to come. And we really, really enjoyed this experience. So thank you so much for having us. If you want to check it out, go to our homepage, DuoRythmoFramer.site. And now for questions, I guess.
Wow, they caught me off guard. Dear Lord. So are there any questions? So, okay, online. So while they get the microphone, I would like to say thank you for reaching out to the Alliance. This is one of the creativity focus groups that I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the PALs and CALs Advisory Council to the Alliance, and some of those members you saw pictured up there.
The question online is, does DuoRhythm also work on an iOS device?
Yeah, so right now it only works on a Windows computer, but for the future we've been looking at adding it for mobile as well. It presents a new set of challenges regarding accessibility. There's a much smaller screen, which makes it a bit harder to use with an eye tracker, for example. But it's definitely something we've been talking about, and we have sort of the capabilities to do it, so we could quite easily put it on an iPhone or a Mac computer as well.
Hi. Oh.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marcella.
Now I forgot the question. I'm kidding.
Felipe, do you have a question?
I really did forget it. Oh yeah. If a patient wants to create their own music, can they download that song and then can they post it on Spotify or YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, so we have a functionality where patients can save their progress, so you can always just get back to it. They can also record what they made, so then save it on their computer and upload it to YouTube, share it with their friends, family, whatever. So yeah, that's fully functional and it works like that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Here in the front? No, you have to wait for the mic. Apologies. There's people on video. One.
Can I just ask, do you have an example of something that you could play? Just so that we can get the idea of the sound that you can come up with. Sorry, did you not want that question?
Yeah, I think we can't really play it right now, I guess. Yeah. But we have some examples, and we can do a demo maybe later on, and we can.
Lovely, that would be good. Then we can picture what you mean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, there are some videos up on YouTube about how it works, so we could do that too.
Are you looking at adding different types of other instruments?
Yeah, so we want to make it possible to add your own sounds. So you could make any sounds you wanted with a microphone or anything that would sort of be meaningful to you. Right now we have these 5 different rooms with 5 different sounds in each room, which all sort of build on a sort of same drum type or a drum set or something like that. But that's definitely something in the future we would like to do. A lot of our users have asked for that. So.
Sorry, I made sure I waited for you to get across. Have you thought about, just building on the previous question about saving your work, have you thought about having an internal sort of like catalogue where people could share their stories alongside their songs?
I don't think we have really thought about that, but since we have the functionality to actually save your beats, maybe we could have an internal framework for like exporting and sharing it, what you've created, and like others could maybe load that and build upon it and have this, more meta level of collaboration. That could be interesting, yeah. But I think that's a good point that you pointed out there.
I have 2 online, and they're not questions per se, but I think they're relevant to what we're talking about, from Amber and Roderick. And Amber said kids could sing along with the parents and have a connection with the parents, which I thought was interesting. And then Roderick says and Roderick is a person with ALS, creativity is so important for the purpose. What a great idea. I paint using my computer. A friend writes using a computer. So going back to what you said, Sarah. And then here's the other question. I'm busy. Another question came in. Is it just rhythm or pitch for songs too?
Yeah, so as I mentioned when I tried to show how it works, is that so one person creates the rhythm, and then the other one can change that rhythm however they would like. Right now we have 3 different set of effects that you can change, and also the BPM, so the beats per minute. So you could change the pitch. You can add some flanger to it, some reverb. Yeah. So we have a different setup. We wanted to make it as easy as possible, not to make it sound unpleasant, because it can very easily become very distorted or something like that. So we spend a lot of time on what set of effects can we include that doesn't really take it too far away from its original state, but you also feel that you added something to it.
We have a couple of questions at our table. So first is this an app that we purchased for like the Microsoft platform?
Yes, so actually you don't need to purchase it. You can just download it for free, but yes. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And then if it is compatible with Microsoft, would it be compatible with like a Tobii speech device or any other speech?
Yeah, so we support natively Tobii eye trackers, the Tobii 4, 5C, so that's natively supported, but we also have a mode which works based on dwell time. We use dwell time as a main interaction paradigm for other accessible inputs, such as head mouse, and that's primarily what we tested it on. Regarding Tobii Dynavox, we think it works there as well. we're not entirely sure, but yeah. So we are trying to cater to as many inputs as possible. So there is a range what you can choose between.
Okay, can I ask one more?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is it just two people sitting across from each other, or could like an instructor do it as like a group, if it was to be done in like a support group or an art class or something?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. So there's a solo mode in the application as well, where you would be able to play it more as an instrument. So I guess if you had a conductor, you could maybe have all the participants play it in solo mode, and then each participant, it would be sort of a drum circle in some way or another. So yeah, that should be doable. It's an interesting thought.
Any other questions? I have a question. So was there anything from the people with a lived experience that you worked with, anything that stood out or anything that made you change the way you were going? Or, I mean, I know you said the input was great, but anything more specific?
I think probably most of the design decisions that we made throughout the whole process that came from pals who have some sort of musical experience or who didn't have musical experience. That's also what I tried to highlight with this participatory process, that like we tried to be really open and like get that feedback. So for example, having the possibility to save, export, and like having the possibility to load your beats, that all came from input from pals. Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else? All right, then we're going to say thank you very much. And
Thank you so much.
Let's all clap in rhythm. No.